All right, in our Sunrise Smart Start this morning, Team USA pulled out a 1-0 win over Iran yesterday during the World Cup, with Wales and England ending in a draw. The Rochester area is no stranger to an ever-expanding soccer community, and businesses with an international touch have been seeing an uptick in foot traffic, get it, since the start of the games.
Christian Garzone was at Rochester's first-rate British pub, the Old Toad, where even mid-afternoon on a Tuesday, the fans were celebrating.
Well, good morning. Football. Soccer is really the world's sport, and some here felt with the USA's big win last evening, this is the moment when the rest of the country might really start to take notice of the sport. Rochester, though, already has a strong soccer sentiment. In one room of the well-known British pub, the Old Toad, there was the Wales versus England game. In another room, it was the USA taking on Iran. Manager Kevin Roman says it's enough space for Brits and Yankees to go back and forth.
We get a lot of England fans, also a lot of U.S. fans as well, and you get that mesh together. And what's unique about it is you still have the U.S. rooting for England and England rooting for the U.S.
Fans like Tag Andrews lived in the U.K. for a period, but he's American through and through. This setup for him is ideal, actually. He says the soccer community in Rochester has done nothing but expand.
I've met a number of friends through the World Cup. We've been coming every year, every 4 years.
Rob Braden says Americans are embracing the sport more and more.
It seems like the American League is slowly getting better and better.
Players and fans from overseas perhaps bring their talents and enthusiasm with them. Opie Edwards began playing soccer in Ghana, then professionally in the UK. He now plays here in Rochester. He says it's exciting to see how the sport is taking on more fans in the US.
People I meet in a bars or whatever, they always say like, oh, you play soccer, like, it's not, whereas in the UK or in Ghana or whatever, it's like, it's normal, like, if you say you play football.
Braden says soccer is the world's sport, and there's hope on the field, a chance that no matter how tight tensions might be between nations, there's always a chance to settle things on the pitch.
How we all can get along and play sports.
And after their big win, the U.S. will now advance to the knockout round against the Netherlands. Be sure to catch all the World Cup action right here at the Old Toad, now through December 18th. In Rochester, Christian Garzone for News 8.
Christian, thank you. You can find more on the U.S.'s win over on our website, rochesterfirst.com.
Mayor Malik Evans extending the city's gun violence emergency order while discussing concerns to housing in the 14621 zip code. Evans says about 40% of the zip code lives below the poverty line.
Attorney General Letitia James has filed a lawsuit against the Villages of Orleans Health and Rehabilitation Center in Albion. She claims the facility's owners committed financial fraud and practiced methods neglecting patients, including severely cutting staff, which James says in some cases led to hospitalizations and even patient deaths.
Healthcare workers have been the heroes of the pandemic. Now, in order to attract and retain workers, the state is allocating $1.2 billion to give them bonuses. Healthcare workers could receive up to $3,000 in bonuses for working during the pandemic, but not everyone is eligible. Lisa Newcomb is the executive director for the Empire State Assisted Living Association. Newcomb explains those eligible are funded by Medicaid.
Well, the state has since expanded the job titles that are eligible in that Medicaid-funded assisted living program. So we're grateful and thankful for that. But that probably leaves that leaves a good 2/3 of the industry where no workers are eligible.
Assemblyman Angelo Santa Barbara wrote a letter to Governor Hochul asking her to reassess qualifications for certain service workers to include all essential staff in New York hospitals during the pandemic. He says, quote, they were on each floor where patients with COVID were present. They put themselves at the same risk that a lot of other workers did during that period.
George Moses, the former chairman of the Rochester Housing Authority, has been sentenced to 78 months in prison and 3 years of probation. He was found guilty of defrauding multiple Rochester nonprofits, including low-income housing charities. He was also ordered to pay $360,000 immediately. Moses was convicted on 28 different charges, including money laundering, fraud, and lying to the FBI.
All right, so if you're stepping out the door this morning to see what you should wear, it could be deceiving. And James has the latest details for us on how to properly layer to get out the door this morning. Right, James?
Yeah, well, first we'll start off with the rain. We've got rain outside right now. And if we're expecting any packages, we'll want to make sure that we bring them in quickly because nobody likes a soggy package. It's just the worst. It's just absolutely the worst. So hopefully they've got that plastic lining on the inside, then you're okay. Morning showers, and look at the chance for rain by 5 o'clock. Goes down to near 0, so we'll be done by the rain this afternoon. Temperatures in a strange trend, right? They peak in the upper 40s this morning, then slowly but surely get much cooler with some wind in there as well. We'll take a look at the 8-day, the bus stop forecast at the end of the show. Amel, how are the roads looking right now?
James, the roads are still looking pretty good out there, and I hope they stay that way with the incoming rain, even though the roads be getting slick. So if you're heading out the door this morning, just be aware of that. But no accidents or holdups to tell you about. You should have a smooth ride into work this morning.
All right, 6:52 right now. Coming off of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, researchers at RIT have spent the better part of this year targeting reviews on Amazon, asking if they're legitimate or not.
Shoppers tend to rely on reviews for feedback on what they're looking to buy. One professor purchased a product based on a 5-star review, which turned out to be a sham. They found this can be all too common.
I knew of a paper that had studied the market for fake reviews. So they had found specific Facebook groups in which Amazon products are advertising their products and actively asking for them to buy the product and then send them a receipt plus a review that they are willing to write with 5 stars, and then they will get reimbursed for that product.
He adds the information from consumers is valuable because otherwise we would have to rely on information from the companies, which have a different incentive from customers. Time now to go inside the huddle. Over the last few seasons, the Bills have been looking to improve their defensive line.
After bringing back some familiar faces, plus a future Hall of Famer in Von Miller, Thad Brown has more on the man who put it all together.
Jordan Phillips and Shaq Lawson have nearly twice as many sacks the last 2 years they were in Buffalo as they did the last 2 seasons away. Why?
They just let me be me.
Now I've got great vision. Sounds like D-line coach Eric Washington has an easy job, but it helps Buffalo's one-gap system allows defensive linemen to attack.
We ask them to go and hunt negative plays, big plays, sacks, and it really fits with what they would rather do.
The Bills also give their D linemen freedom to hunt those plays their own way.
They give me a lot of control in a way, and that just comes from their confidence and their trust in me.
He knows what I bring to the table. He knows what all his guys brings to the table. So he just tries to take that and just kind of hone around that without making you somebody who you're not.
That doesn't happen on every team.
A lot of people play this game in fear of, you know, if I go out there and do this or the coaches don't like it, I'm out the game. And, they kind of eliminate that here, so you can go out there and play freely, and that takes the game to a whole nother level.
Washington coaches all his D linemen to win one-on-one, not just the stars like Von Miller and Ed Oliver. Since the Bills don't blitz a lot, it's something they have to do.
If you're trying to generate pressure with 4, then you better make sure you're informing every individual because you're going to need them. Because as soon as the protection starts to really overcompensate for a person like Von Miller, a player like that, then another person is one-on-one. You got to have the expectation, and they have to believe that you believe that they can get the job done.
I asked Eric Washington how much it meant to him that all his guys raved about the job he was doing. He said he's glad they enjoy the process and that they are men of high character, adding, quote, "I don't think they give themselves enough credit. I'm just glad they appreciate the effort I'm putting in to get them ready to go." Inside the Buffalo Huddle in Orchard Park, I'm Thad Brown.
All right, final check of the forecast with James. Hopefully things are going to stay decent out there, but you guys were mentioning earlier that it's not the case.
Yeah, I think we're on a downhill trend. Is that right, James?
Yes, some rain this morning, snow this afternoon. We've got to try to balance the weather just like the Bills have to balance the pass rush with the defensive backs, right?
Hey, I like this.
James.
I'm trying to work on this here as we get on the bus anticipating the Bills game, which is tomorrow, believe it or not. It's coming up already. They've got that Thursday night game against the Patriots. They are going to deal with a little bit of wind for their game. That's in Foxborough out there, not a home game.
Bills versus Brady.
Yes, former Brady, right?
Oh, that's right. What am I saying? Be quiet, Casey.
It is still early. 8-day forecast here. Wild ride the next 48 hours today. We've got wind, we've got rain changing over to snow. Flakes on Thursday, then we quiet down a little bit by Friday. Keeping an eye on Saturday. We'll focus on that tomorrow with rain showers and maybe even some more wind.
All right, James, thank you. And thank you so much for watching News at Sunrise. Casey and I are going to go get a coffee.
Oh, yes, please. I'm going to need a double. Your next update in 30 minutes. Have a good one, everybody.
Follow News 8 wherever you are on RochesterFirst.com, Facebook, Twitter, and on our app for news and weather.